Hey again, DeFi IoT. I want to share something else with you to give you a better understanding of why Bitcoin is so different than Ethereum, and based on natural law and what the founding fathers of the United States established in the Constitution in its final draft in those first 10 amendments. Let's talk a little bit about that and where Bitcoin fits in with the American experiment and American dream from its inception. Let's talk right now about that. Once again, I'm driving still, heading up to our investment property. Hey, you know, it's interesting because I like to listen to books on tape and stuff when I'm driving. I very seldom listen to music and stuff anymore. Once in a while, there's times, but I really try to take advantage of all the opportunities I can to educate myself so that I'm self-sufficient and I can give you the best information based on truth and not just opinion. I like to put empirical data behind it. You know, one thing that our founding fathers stated, if I'm not mistaken, was Jefferson. Jefferson was really a wise man and probably one of my all-time heroes. Another wise man was Cicero, who wrote many wise opinions at the time because there were really no empirical data to base things off of. And, you know, our founding fathers, everything that they did, all the principles, the 24 principles that were put together to form the U.S. Constitution, were very few were created by them. They were principles that were actually experimented or created in history through other countries, Greece, Rome, etc., but never actually put together in a way that they could find success. And they looked at where these experiments had failed in their singularities and brought them together to support one another to give the success we've celebrated for over 200 years in the United States of America. But you're starting to see collapse now, and that's because of what we're finding in laws that are violating natural laws. And it's funny because laws are created outside of natural laws. Natural law, for example, would be something like, we just don't kill people. We don't take another life. It just is not natural. And if you're hunting or something, you generally only take what you need, and it's just not necessarily natural law. I'm talking about good reason, right? Because people can say, well, like in my experience in South America, well, if there's some fish there, I'm going to take them all. I can get fish to eat today, and I can go sell the rest of the fish and have money to spend tomorrow. But next week, there's nothing for them. So natural law will be one of balance, right? So greed will not come into natural law. Though people might say, well, greed is natural in men. Okay, in the human nature, greed is natural to set in, but it usually greed fulfills some sort of insufficiency that we have, like insecurities. And we have to have this, we falsify our security through power and money, greed, right? So we can go in, that's another topic. But what I want to get to is that, generally speaking, laws are created outside of natural laws, things that what our Constitution was founded upon, natural laws, and that's what the Sheriff Department was structured for, to be able to uphold those natural laws. Now, a policeman, or Sheriff Department, I should say, because they're the only constitutional department that's actually able to represent us under the law. The police department, the highway patrol, etc., those are all institutions created to be extension of arms of power from centralized governments, right? And though some people might say, well, there's a necessity of it, well, you could actually done things differently and achieve the same goal. Anyway, my point is not to go into that theme. Is that when we become unvirtuous as people, the founding fathers knew that natural laws would govern us so long as we remain a virtuous people. In other words, We weren't corrupt. We learned how to control our greed, etc. That corruption, that greed, is what brought the banking system into its power. And understand something as a side note, that Klaus Schwab, the leader of the World Economic Forum, the WEF, is a grandson of a Rothschild. And many of you that are out there understand who a Rothschild is or was, and understands that they were the big bankers and central bankers. In other words, they centralized for their power and their control. Klaus Schwab, who leads the World Economic Forum in this whole agenda for 2050, 2030, all these agendas that are behind a lot of the lockdowns for the last 2 years, by the way, too, you guys. Please do your research on that. And it's getting harder to do research, especially if you're trying to do it on Google, because they're trying to eliminate a lot of these truths. Anyway, so where does Bitcoin fit in there with the Founding Fathers' idea that we would live off natural law? Even Cicero stated that, anything that violates natural law that a court system or judges would uphold could also be a corrupt law made into law. And whether a nation accepts this law or not, if it violates natural law, it's not a law. Now, we have just fallen into this acceptance that we have to use a banking system, that we have to report how much money we send. We have to tell on ourselves for anything we're doing, whether it be criminal or not criminal. In other words, most of the time that things are reported, it's not criminal anyway, right? It's like those who use guns to kill usually have guns that are considered illegal guns. Well, that's a whole other issue too, because natural law, the right to bear arms, whether you agree or don't agree, it is natural law to protect yourselves from tyranny. And that's the only way to protect yourself. I've watched tyrannical governments overthrow my wife's country, in the process of doing it now today. And I watched Venezuela fall. I've been in Colombia when Colombia was corrupt, and Colombia's falling again with all due respect. But the cartels are gaining power. Look at Mexico. We could go on. And look at the United States of America. Okay? There is no saint here in this. So when we're talking about natural law, this is where Bitcoin comes in. So Satoshi Nakamoto's idea of creating something that will go back to supporting natural law was only natural. And anything that violates that natural law of a free market economy, allowing free opportunity for anybody and everybody to get involved with that are willing to take risks. That was the idea of Bitcoin. So anything you have that goes against that idea, such as Ethereum, you want to decentralize, violates natural law and throws us right back into the whole centralized, controlled system of finance that we have, in that we are getting involved in crypto to escape. So there are many out there, and I know not you subscribers, because you are the intelligent ones. That's why you're here in this channel, because we're trying to gain more intelligence. And I would like for you to write me with more intellectual opinions that can be, as long as those opinions are based on empirical data. Okay? But irregular opinions, I don't really care about. My father always said opinions like buttholes. Everybody has one. And be very blunt with it. And that's true. What we want to do is try to find truth here and try to gain understanding so that we know what direction to march, so we can become self-sufficient and interdependent, not codependent, but interdependent on one another in this global republic through cryptocurrencies and through certain natural laws that will allow our existence and coexistence with each other. That's where our focus should be, and that's what cryptocurrency does for us. It sparks that, and anybody who is against that and wants more control and more centralization are those who do not support natural law. Therefore, those are the people who we don't want in cryptocurrencies, or that need to better be educated in cryptocurrencies. If they only want to get into cryptocurrencies to be able to make more money as a side job, so to speak, then you are in the wrong arena, because you are with a group of people who don't want that. We want to have our own autonomy, want to be able to be independent so that we can become interdependent. And I know I'm probably speaking beyond what those listeners are able to comprehend. You as subscribers, again, I know you're much more intelligent. That's why we grow at a slower rate than other YouTubers do, because we have a more intelligent base here, and I appreciate that. Thank you. Does that mean we know everything? No, we're always open to grow. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to contribute, write. Don't write to just be cruel or bully because you're hiding behind some sort of screen. That's cowardice. Write because you really want to contribute. You really want to help people understand, make the Republic and the world a better place. Look, through cryptocurrencies, we can make the planet greener, if you will. We can make the planet cleaner. We can improve poverty. If we live those principles and apply natural law and not have to be governed by law, but take responsibility and govern ourselves, then we will make all those changes without Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, and the Rothschilds and so forth, taking away our freedoms to do so. They feel that freedom and freedom of speech is the enemy to their agenda. Do they really want to help the world and the planet? I'm sorry, but very few of them do. They want the power. They want the control. They want the money. And that's just the downside of human nature, the negative side of human nature. But that's not natural law. Natural law is good and produces good fruit. Greed does not produce good fruit. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, people can say, well, but people are greedy here too. It's kind of difficult to be greedy in Bitcoin when it costs $40,000 a coin. That's more of an investment. That's more of what I'm investing in because it has a principle underlying it. Unlike other projects. They're just our projects. So I just want to share that bit with you to kind of maybe spark a little light, hopefully plant a seed where you'll seek out to understand what our forefathers and Cicero were talking about years ago in trying to establish a nation based on natural law. Now Cicero, after Caesar's death, was murdered, never got to actually execute his ideas, but the founding fathers of America did study and take those ideas into consideration and apply those when they developed the Constitution in 1887, right? The first drafts were just erroneous. They were devastating and it almost cost us the Revolutionary War. There wasn't enough power in the federal government, but yet there had to be just enough power to be able to enforce the constitutional laws, not to overreach and take away from the state's constitutional rights as well. And that's what Bitcoin provides for us. That enough power there to where we can, through a republic, a democratic republic, based on a constitution, which is called a protocol. It's already set up, it's already established. There's no judges to take away from us, like there is in Ethereum and others. They judge it. They make decisions to whether they make changes or don't make changes according to what their bottom line is and what's going to produce better for the bottom line. Bitcoin is a protocol. 21 million tokens, and that's it. You know, there's a time it runs out. And there are only so many millionaires out there in the world that actually are more than 21 million. So each one of those are probably going to want one of those tokens. Because part of their greed, have that in their collection. Do you have a Bitcoin? I have one. So if they're 100,000, 200,000, or $1 million, they got one. So to have a piece of one now, long term, is not a bad idea. And that's what we're focused on. Gold, there's a lot more of it. Millionaires have that, and many people can have that besides millionaires. Now, you don't have to own a whole Bitcoin to have wealth. You can own part of Bitcoin. The point is this: there's other ways you can earn in cryptocurrencies, but the cryptocurrencies that are going to stay the course and go long term are going to be those that obey natural law, because it's natural for us to want to be able to achieve things in our life, to have things that are ours, to work hard and be able to claim them as our possessions. That's natural law. It's unnatural for some government to come in or somebody else to want us to have to give up what's already ours. That's like saying, hey, this guy has 3 cars. The neighbor has no cars. So another neighbor walks across the street, takes one of the cars and gives to the neighbor. Is that fair to do? Some people would say he's a hero. He just took away from the greedy person who had 3. Well, that person who had 3 had every right to have those 3. If that person who had 3 decided, hey, I want to give one of those cars, or those horses, if you would, to my neighbor, then, and they do that, well, that is a good thing. And that would be based on natural law. But they do it out of their own agency, not somebody else acting as a policing agent to come in and take it from them. That's called theft, and that's unnatural. So we have to really understand what our Constitution is based on to understand what we're defending here in this free market economy. Now, I know for some of those people who are going to come across this video, they're going to blah, blah, and say that it's not true and try to come up with something. But I'm just going to say to you that if you don't agree, you don't have to agree with me. But if you don't, go do your homework, because what I speak is the truth. And I know I'm right, because I make it a point to know. I check myself. I double check myself. I triple check myself. I make it a point to know. Say, well, that's just because you look for that. No, I really go in objectively. And I try to do it so I can help you better understand what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve here. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for everything. Ask you please subscribe to the channel. And, give us a thumbs up. Hit the bell. We're headed to our project now. We're going to show up and start working some more. The land we're looking at is selling out, and where we're looking at is triple in price just in the last month. So I'm a little concerned. Do we stay on with this project and try to maximize it, or will it be the same in the end? So we get $100,000 for our project we're going to sell, but it's going to cost $100,000 to buy. Maybe we should just get out now. Going to meet with the realtor in a couple hours, try to sell now, do a little bit more work on this place, and get our land while we still can, this prime land. DeFi IoT, stay with us, subscribe to us. We got a whole journey ahead of us. We're excited about it. And there is hope out there. It's going to be a lot of trials, but there is hope. I see light. I see light. There's darkness, but I see light, and I got this iron rod that I'm holding on to that guides us through the light, and I want to share that with you each time. All right, DeFi IoT, we will talk to you soon. We hope you enjoyed this segment of our video with DeFi IoT. Remember, we're not professional advisors. We do this as a business, as a hobby, and we study, we experiment, and we want to share it with you. If you can get some benefit from this, great. What we do is we go out, we purchase with our own money, and we experiment to see what true results are. We want you to be able to share in our experiences so you don't have to lose like we have. If you can win where we've won, fantastic. Remember to do your own research and your own homework. It's very important before you make any decisions. We will see you in our next video.